All right, how to fill your church with people without compromise or feeling slimy. And I got 10 ways here to show you how to get people in the door. Coming up here on the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast. Focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Well, howdy. Mike Holmes here, and we're going to talk about how to get people in your church today. And we're going to talk about that without any compromise of your doctrines, any deceptive techniques, anything like that. We're going to talk about 10 ways to really hustle and to get people in the door. This is some old-fashioned stuff. Been doing this for years, and it works, bottom line. So I'm looking forward to sharing some of this with you. I have 10 different things, and actually the 10th one is going to stick around because it is probably the best technique, and it's something that you couldn't have done 15, 20 years ago, but you can do it now, and so a little hint there. But it's a really, really good technique, and I've taught people how to do it. It is extremely, extremely effective. And then I have an 11th, actually. We're going to call it the bonus, and it just kind of supercharges everything, so stick around to the end. For those of you that are here for the first time, I'm Mike Holmes, the founding pastor at Sinclair Baptist Church, a vibrant little church out here in the sagebrush flats of the Rocky Mountains, and we are located in south central Wyoming, and we have just a great group of young families here in our church, and it's very, very exciting to be involved with that. And it is very exciting for me personally to be involved with the Reach Keep Academy and to be training churches from really around the world, training pastors around the United States, just in the phone with Newfoundland and Romania and different places around the lower 48 and actually the provinces of Canada, and able to help them with stuff where they're at and help them with their thing. And our goal here is to create flourishing churches. Our goal at our church when we started it was to create flourishing believers and really just kind of help them to excel at every level. And now I've been able to transfer that into church work and be able to help churches really all over the country through our academy. And you can learn more about that at our website, reachkeep.com, and there's several buttons that'll get you to our academy area. We open for enrollment only a few times out of the year, so we're closed actually right now, but just had a great Zoom call with a whole bunch of our students just the other day. So enough about me. Let's get to you. Let's fill your church with people. Okay, we're going to start out, and I've got a whole list of things here. We're going to go through. Again, just some things that I have done, every one of these proven and tested. And the very first one is effective visits. Make effective visits. And I'm not talking about just visiting or door knocking randomly. I'm talking about effective visits. We want to do things on Saturday that bring people in church on Sunday. You get out and spend some time visiting some of the people that haven't been there for a while, visit some of the people that you know are new in the community, and just stop by and say hi and invite them to your Sunday morning service. I'll talk about this later, but this is the idea of inviting them to a singular event, okay, and not just inviting them to come join your church and be one of you like forever and ever and ever. That's kind of a big swallow for new people, and so and eventually we're going to reach people, turn them into disciples, and get them in heaven and have in the kingdom. They're going to live forever and ever. That's great, but the very first time, they're just going to come to an event. So you invite them to a singular event. We recommend Sunday morning church. Okay, just your main morning service, Sunday morning, 10 o'clock, or something like that. But make some effective visits. Now, I've also learned a lesson on effective visits that rather than going to everybody's house, and if you're in a rural community like we are, you can actually spend a lot of time driving between places. And one of the things that we have found is that people, especially on Saturdays, they come to town. Friday evenings after work, kind of that 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock time, and on Saturday mornings from about 10 o'clock all the way up into early afternoon, and a little bit in the Saturday evening too, people have come to town to get their last minute things, so you do their shopping, get ready for their picnic, get ready whatever they're doing for their week. And so one of the things that I do is I go to the grocery stores. We have 2 of them in town where people would come, and I go into those stores and I just walk around with the intentions of talking to people, not necessarily buying my own stuff, but just going to talk to people. And I catch more fish because I use the fish finder. In other words, they're there at that place, and so I go there rather than just throwing in a line anywhere, driving 10 miles and they're not home, that type of thing. Now, I'm for all those kind of visits too, but effective visits will do you good and will put a bunch of people into your church. Number 2 is what we call targeted blitzing. And targeted blitzing is usually tied around a larger event. And by blitzing, we mean going out into a neighborhood and handing out some flyers or handing out some literature for something that is coming. And churches should have things coming pretty regularly. Like you got Christmas, you got Easter, you got VBS, you got, family camp, you got special things. And if you go out and do some what we call targeted blitzing, and this is where you try to reach those particular people, maybe you already have a contact with them. You're not necessarily going door to door and covering an entire area, but you're going to go out and hand a flyer out, and the purpose is really just to hand the flyer or put it in their door, and they'll respond later. But get out to them in a targeted way. So if we're going to do a children's program, for example, we will go to areas where we know that there's a lot of children, and we just drive around, see a bunch of bikes, that kind of stuff. You can go to the Little League games where we have our Little League games, and you can actually hand out flyers there because that's where the parents are. All the parents are there. So we try to do targeted blitzing, and by blitzing means that you're actually going to have a piece of paper and you're going to hand it to somebody, and they're going to look at it or respond, but it invites them again to a singular event or like a VBS or something along that line. And if you do these first two right there, just do some effective visits and do some targeted blitzing, you'd be surprised. Now, for the blitzing, you're going to need some type of printer that prints up some information. You can do half sheets of paper. You don't need color. You can put on colored paper. I learned that. That always helps. But just print up something with the basic information. You're invited to. Everyone is welcome. That type of thing. And just get out there and hand them out. So number 2 was targeted blitzing. Number 1, effective visits. Number 3 is just email. And this is the idea of hopefully you've been capturing email addresses of people that have come to your church. Now, we use a connection card at our church every Sunday, and I'll just show you a stack of them here. All right. This is a stack of connection cards. We get information from every single person every Sunday. You can learn more about that. How we do that and how you can do that is one of the most effective techniques for really bonding your people, getting close to them, learning their prayer requests, and then signing them up for volunteers. And on top of all that, you're getting their email address and their cell phone number. So all of that can be found at reachkeep.com/connection. Just the word connection, and that will take you right to a place where you can sign up and get to that. But you'll be able to find more about that on our website. So the connection cards would have gathered email addresses. Now, every time someone comes to your church and gives you an email address, you need to respond to them within 24 hours. I like to email them that afternoon and say, thank you so much for being with us at church. We really enjoyed having you. And by the way, how was your son doing? How's your mother-in-law? How's your whatever? I mean, whatever you met and talked to them about, if they shared something, you ask them a question. So you email them and ask them a question. I often include in that email a simple little link of a sermon or a sermon illustration or a website that has something that might apply to them, child rearing or something, special that you know about them already. But I try to send them a special link to maybe a YouTube song or something that's been meaningful to you. Maybe you've watched a 10-minute video or a 5-minute video on creation versus evolution, and you say, hey, here's a link to a really cool thing, and I really enjoyed it. I think you might too. I hope to see you next Sunday. So you email everybody. But the way that you do this is you don't just email them that first 24 hours. You then save all those email addresses. save them in a some type of format. There are several online things you can use. You can use Chimp Mail or MailChimp, whatever they call it. Very easy one to use. There's one called Aweber. There's Constant Contact. There are several of those that can be used. Many of them have a free up until you do like 2,000. So you're going to be in pretty good shape. And you then can send an email thing out that says, don't forget this Sunday special speaker. Don't forget this Sunday church in the park. Don't forget we got, a special kids program. Love to have you come. And so what you're doing is you're making effective visits and you're making targeted blitzing. And now you are making the pertinent emails and touching people through email. So this is how you get folks in church. And again, just shoot them an email. Have it be solution-based. Remember we say every Sunday solve a problem. Well, this is a way to solve a problem on Saturday. So you're going to be sending them something that says, hey, we're going to be doing a class on, what to do with a lazy child, how to discipline children, how to raise middle schoolers, what the Bible says about, depression or whatever. There's all sorts of things that you can do that provide solutions in your title of your message and just this little simple promo showing the benefit of your message. So email that stuff out and email them out on a regular basis, and I'm not saying every week regular, but, several times a quarter, a couple times a quarter. Hey, we got a big special kids thing going. Hey, we got a big event. Just want to let you know, by the way, Sunday we're going to talk about disciplining, children. So number 3 was email. Number 4, is what I call a pulpit push. A pulpit push is where you, as the main leader, stand up there and say, hey, folks, I'm really excited about this upcoming sermon series. I'm really excited about this Thanksgiving dinner. I'm excited about our outreach for Easter. And so I have done something for you. And you make it from the pulpit, you make it from the pastor, kind of a little push, and you say, I've got some business cards, and let's see if I've got any right here. Actually, let me reach up here. I got some right over the top of the camera there. Okay, these are some little ones that someone did once and gave me a whole bunch of them, but they're kind of rounded looking. Okay, they got the, like I said, they got a phone number right on there, and they're for a business actually here in the community. But the guy gave me a bunch of them, and I kept them because they're card stock and they're good. And I actually used to have quite a stack, and I've given out quite a few of those when people have asked about particular need that this business supplies for. So what you want to do is push it from the pulpit, and it's a pastoral pulpit push. There you go, the PPP. And you would say, I printed some cards up for you. Now, you can get about 1,000 cards at Vistaprint for about $29, that are just real simple. And it'll say, please join us, Sinclair Baptist Church, Creation versus Evolution, or what the Bible says about XYZ. And you put that on there, and it just has the service time. Join us 11 o'clock Sunday morning, for this. And I wouldn't overload it with a lot of other things. I wouldn't put all sorts of text on it. I wouldn't put all sorts of service times, just the time that they're probably going to come. And you give that, you give that push from the pulpit, and then you hand those cards out to all of your people. And what I do is I say, I'm going to hand out 3 cards to every person. We do it right in the service. We just have teenagers come and they hand out 3 cards to every person. I want you to give 1 to a friend, 1 to a relative, and 1 to a coworker. If you don't have a coworker, then 2 friends. If you don't have a relative, then 2 coworkers or whatever. But I'm going to give you 3 cards. Could you hand out these 3 cards this week and let them know about our great program, our great Easter program, our great, Back to Church Sunday, our, Creation versus Evolution, our series that we're going to do that talks about how to have hope in your life, whatever it is. You do that, but you push it from the pulpit and you do that. Now you can promote the series, and some of the other things might be promoted in your bulletin or on your website and other places, but this is a pulpit push. This is where you, as the pastor, the leader, say, can you do a favor for me, and ask them to do that. Now, for like our Thanksgiving dinner, when we do a big thing like that, and it's a very singular event on one particular day, we'll do 3 cards, but we'll start like the 1st of November, and then the 2nd week in November, 3rd week in November. So that's why we have huge crowds, is because we have our people have handed out cards to everybody. And don't give them a stack, just give them 3. Okay, don't give them one, they'll pin it on the wall. Give them 3. They know that they are to be given out. So that's how you do a pulpit push, and that is a great way to get people to come. Number 4 here, number 5, is a special handout or an invite card, and this is this is very similar to what we just did, but it's even bigger and has more punch to it. And what we have done for Christmas program, like we want to have a lot of people for our Christmas service, or we do a candlelight service. That's a very big thing that we do. We also do, like say, big Thanksgiving, or if you're doing one great big service for some reason, you get these cards, and they're about this big, and they're like, you probably have seen them as graduation cards or wedding invitation type cards. And you usually can buy a box of them, or a half a box, because somebody's got them left over. You can buy them on eBay pretty cheap, and you print that card up really nice, and it you know, if it can be the open thing or just be a single card, and it says, please please be our guest at the candlelight service, that type of thing. And then if it's an open up one, or if the backside is blank, you have your people write a personal invitation, and we hand these out during church, and we'll say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to give out 5 of these cards to some friends that you have, and I want you to open them up, and I want you to write a personal invitation. Dear Jim, would you please be my guest at the candlelight service at 4:30, 6 o'clock, or 7 o'clock on Christmas Eve. We do a bunch of candlelight services because we do 3 services, because we hand out a lot of cards, because we invite a lot of people. Okay, so the same type of thing. You're going to personalize it though, but you have people actually write something in there. Would you be my guest? Please be my guest. I'd love to have you come to be with me. And I give them some samples of things to write in there. And I've actually had them fill them out right there, and then on the front of the envelope, if you have envelopes for them, they're going to write, this one's going to be to Marty, and this one's going to be to Jim, and this one's going to be to DL, and whoever their friends are. They're going to put those in there. So that is another great thing, and it's just the special invite card. Let's go to number 6, 7, and 8. All right, I'm going to cut this in half. This podcast turned out to be way long because we're covering a ton of great things, so I'm going to chop it right here, and going to give you part 2 is going to be the second one, so I'll leave it right there, and we will catch you. Make sure when you're done with this one that you go to the following one. I'll put the link right there at the end, and you can follow it and get the rest of the 10 ways plus the bonus. So thank you. All right, I'm going to cut this in half. This podcast turned out to be way long because we're covering a ton of great things, so I'm going to chop it right here, and going to give you part 2 is going to be the second one, so I'll leave it right there, and we will catch you. Make sure when you're done with this one that you go to the following one. I'll put the link right there at the end, and you can follow it and get the rest of the 10 ways plus the bonus. So thank you.